Hi everyone, Friday, July 18th, 2025. Not a bad day, as you can see. It's overcast, threatening to rain yet again. It's been a warm week, but very rainy. I think it's rained every day, except maybe yesterday. It didn't rain, but a lot of rain. It wasn't, the whole day, but it'd be a nice, beautiful day most of the day, and then late afternoon we'd get a thunderstorm and a bunch of rain, and in some cases a lot of rain. In inches. I think one day we got 2 inches. There was another day we got another 2 inches. As far as this week's video, I'm going to try to, right now I'm doing obviously the intro. I'm going to try to give you a quick garden and greenhouse update as part of the intro. I'm just sticking close at home right now because the rain is threatening. The other things that I'm going to talk about this week is, of course, my shed edition. I'm not even going to call it part 2. I'll have to give you a part 2 of that next week. But, I was still waiting for a lot of the materials that I had delivered from the various stores. I did actually get from 2 different places. I can go into that later on, but everything I needed I couldn't get at one place, so I had to order from 2 different places. And as I will mention later on, it took 12 days to get the order from Depot, which set me back a little bit. But in hindsight, maybe that wasn't a bad thing. It's been so rainy, I don't know how much I really could have gotten done. Plus, unfortunately, I'm having some back problems again, as I did in April. It's not quite as bad, but and then lastly, a couple days ago, I got stung by a wasp right in the palm of my right hand. The worst spot to get stung. Normally, every summer I do get stung numerous times just because I'm outside doing so much, but mosquitoes don't really bother me too much. Again, I get stung by bees quite a bit. That doesn't bother me too much. The biting flies here is a different question. There's a particular one comparable to like a deer fly, what we call in Wisconsin. The deer flies here is slightly different. Make me swell up. I get sick, so I have to be careful about the biting flies. But I don't know, I think I'll have a couple other miscellaneous things in this week's video, but not a whole lot new to report, so I'll switch quickly to the garden and greenhouse. Again, as mentioned, our strawberries are pretty much done producing. You can see my wife has gone through and thinned everything out. She's taken all the spikes and transplanted those to little planters. They'll get moved to a different box later on. We are eating our kohlrabi. There's a few left in there, but you got to get them before they get too big, otherwise they get real woody. Celery doing great, leeks doing great. We still got to thin out all of that arugula and spinach. Patty pan, you can see here in the background, we are getting quite a few of these little patty pans, or what we say here, patassons. Still kind of monitoring our onions and garlic. You can see the leaves on the onions don't look real good. We think the onions below the dirt are fine. It's just there's something, we don't know if it's a fungus or mold or just due to all the rain. Carrots, I told my wife she probably should have thinned these out, but we got a lot of carrots. Nice little flower there. Beets and Swiss chard doing great. Peas still producing. We've just got so many peas this year. By far the best year we've ever had. I'm not sick of eating them. I'm not even sick of pecking them, but my fingers are so sore from shucking peas, popping the pods out or open and getting the peas out. We do freeze a lot of the peas, so my thumbs are very raw from doing that. Our outside cucumbers doing great. If you look hard enough, we are getting small cucumbers already. I'm sure within a week we'll have some bigger ones that we can harvest. As mentioned in last week's video, we're already eating potatoes. They're still a little bit small, but we made it through. We didn't have to buy any potatoes from the store. Jamagus, another Patisson or Patipan, some smaller beets. All of our currants doing great. Also, as mentioned, they're not my favorite right off the bush, but I do like all the jellies, jams, and sauces that my wife makes. I think we're getting some beans. You can see all the blossoms and flowers in the beans. We'll have beans real soon. We got a couple different kinds in there. Zucchinis growing a bit. Our shalogas are still standing, or high bush blueberries, barely. A lot of heavy berries. The wind has definitely taken its toll on them, but all we can do is try to reinforce them. We will have to cover these to protect from the birds as soon as they start ripening up, which isn't my favorite job. I'll talk more about that in a different video. And our greenhouse, you can see a lot of tomatoes. Our cucumbers continue to produce, but again, it's on the downward slope on the cucumbers. Peppers, lots of peppers. We are having some problems with some of the peppers. Maybe it's too humid, maybe not enough air. All we can do is monitor, but as you can see, we are getting some ripe tomatoes. So we've already started to eat those, and we do go through a lot of basil. Hi everyone, I wanted to share with you what my wife and I affectionately call the soup. This disgusting looking bucket of liquid and vegetation. Basically it's parts or branches from the tomato plants in the greenhouse that we throw in a bucket, and then we just let it sit in water for about a week or so, and it gets very smelly, very disgusting looking, and we use it as a fertilizer. We just dump it in the greenhouse underneath the plants, and it's like Red Bull. It's like an energy drink for the plants. Obviously it's completely organic. Smells to high heaven. In fact, you got to control your gag reflex, and as soon as you put it down, you put some fresh water over top of it just to kind of kill some of the smell. But again, we trim off some of these lower branches of the tomato plants, and there's some new branches that start to come out, like this one here. You got to remember, on a tomato plant, at least in greenhouses, you only want 2 main branches. If another branch starts to grow, you got to pluck it. So most of that ends up in the compost pile, but some of it ends up in our little bucket of soup. I hope you found that interesting. And as mentioned in the intro, I finally did get the rest of my materials delivered. So I was able to finish putting in these anchors for my shed addition. I was waiting for some Portland cement. They also delivered a bunch of treated wood, which is going to be critical to my little project. A bunch of plywood, roof panels. You can see it's a mess out here. I'll get this cleaned up hopefully soon as I get things built out. I've mentioned in previous videos about, Lithuania being a difficult place for me to live in because I'm so used to how things are done in the US. Things get done pretty quickly there, and they get done right. When they don't happen quickly or done right, you can complain to the company. Usually you get some kind of response or action. Here in Lithuania, maybe not so much. I think I also said in a recent video that maybe I was being a little bit too generous on Lithuania, saying, oh, it's not that Lithuania does things the wrong way, they just do it differently. Well, maybe to be a little more critical. In some cases, I think they do things the wrong way. This whole project and logistics, we ordered this material, a lot of this material, on July 5th. It was just delivered yesterday, July 17th. That's 12 days. And to add insult to injury, they messed up the order. They didn't have the plywood that I had ordered 12 days ago, so they sent me some different stuff. But anyhow, enough about that. It'll get done, but again, it's just not how I'm used to getting things done in the US. Another thing that I mentioned in previous videos on this shed build is the fact that I decided not to do a poured cement slab, and the reason for that is there's several reasons. You can see I've got a poured cement slab here in the main shed, and I did this pretty much on my own, which is part of the problem. You know, my wife, bless her heart, did try to help as much, but basically I had no help. I built the forms, the concrete truck came, poured the concrete, and it was me and my wife trying to do all of the screeding. And she did, you know, a great job, but she just doesn't have the physical strength to do the screeding that was required. So the slab ended up being not perfect. You can see some really rough spots, but the main problem is that I made some mistakes. I'm not an expert. I did not put down a vapor barrier below the concrete. So after I built this, shortly after I built it, I noticed water on the floor, on the slab in here. And I thought, well, where's the water getting in? I was trying all kinds of things. You know, I didn't have a roof leak. I thought, well, is it getting in through the walls? Is it coming through the door? Well, it turns out it's coming up through the concrete. And as we know, concrete is porous. It's not watertight. So I'm getting water coming up through the slab. And maybe it's hard for you guys to see. The other mistake I made, and I made many mistakes on this shed build, even though the shed itself is perfectly square, I'm pretty proud of it. It's strongly built, but some other design features that I did were not very good. But this wood, there is no barrier between the concrete and the wood. The wood is not treated wood. So every time this floor gets wet, that wood soaks up a bit of the water. And we all know eventually the wood's going to give out. It's going to rot. I'm going to have to figure out some way of replacing or solidifying all of that wood. You know, some of the other logistics is I don't even know how a concrete truck would get in here to deliver the concrete at this point in time. So many reasons why I decided not to do a poured slab, and I'm going with this raised floor approach. There's flaws with that too. The raised floor, obviously the floor is going to be up off the ground, so I'm going to lose some headroom there. Plus, I've got to start my lean-to or my addition roof below the existing roof. So there's not going to be much headroom. I'm going to have to duck when I come in this addition, or I'm going to hit my head on things. So we'll see. There's some drawbacks. Other drawbacks is when we do get the heavy wet snow, which we sometimes do get, it sort of piles up on that shed for a while, and then it'll all slide off at once. And it's going to slide off onto this addition roof. So I need to do two things. One, keep the roof clean of snow if possible, and two, make this shed roof as strong as possible where I can, and I'll show you that as I get into the build. So if you've seen past videos of mine, you know that I live in what's called a kaimas. It's a Lithuanian word meaning, you know, small village, hamlet, call it whatever you want. It's not really a village. It's just a group of houses, a community. I don't know, there's about 13-14 houses in our kaimas, and normally we all get along great. There's really not a lot of scandal or soap opera or drama. But recently we have had a bit of a soap opera. It's not that we're not getting along, but somebody somewhere, we all kind of think we know who, reported the neighbors with these empty lots being overgrown. And you can get a penalty or a fine for that. They reported it to the local government and basically told the landowners, you need to clean that up. So this, you can see recently all cut, used to kind of look like this, all grown in. So again, a bit of a drama or soap opera, but from my standpoint, you know, I don't mind it looking rough and overgrown. You know, it's maybe not the best look, but as you can see up here where I live, there's my house right there, is on the south side of these trees, etc. So all these trees and all this brush kind of hide my house, which is great, but more importantly, it blocks a lot of that north wind we get in the winter time. I don't know if they'll actually get to cutting down these trees. Right now they're just focusing on the grass. The other thing that kind of bums me out is that there is actually a lot of wildflowers that grow amongst all these high weeds, and you know, that's great for bees and butterflies and all the other pollinators. So I'm definitely not the person who made the complaint and is causing all of this cutting to go on. I'm also not saying that I disagree with it. I mean, once it's all cut, it does look a lot better. But the other thing that kind of negatively impacts me is, if you've seen in a recent video, this pile of stone and or crushed rock is something I recently purchased to fix all the potholes in the yard. Or I'm sorry, not in the yard, in the road. It's my rock, I paid for it, but this is not my land. So whoever's going to be forced to come in here and clean all this up, the weeds and the trees, etc., might have a problem with other people, being me, dumping stuff on their property. So in one way or another, this is probably going to all impact me. I'll either have to get this dirt out of here, or, you know, come to some kind of agreement with the landowner and just explain to them, you know, it's not for selfish reasons. It's here to help the community, i.e. me fixing the road. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted on the soap opera. Thanks for watching, everyone. Talk to you next week.